Howdy! My name is Oatmeal Ent, and today we're going to be playing EU4 as Japan. I'm going to start a game here on Iron Man. I like to play on Iron Man because I know that watching save and reloads isn't any fun, and I want to keep myself honest. So Japan starts in an interesting position at this earliest start date. I wouldn't say it's a bad position. Despite only having 3 provinces, it has a large amount of vassals. It starts in the Asian Sea Zone or Ocean Zone, so any of the colonies it picks up here in the Asian Sea Zone will be in the same ocean, so they're not going to be overseas. They're going to be able to be taxed instead of tariffed. So that's great. It's a benefit that it actually has over the European powers. That being said, Japan does have the Chinese technology group, which makes gaining technology quite a bit more difficult, and that's the big objective for Japan if you want to be a world player. For this Let's Play, I'm going to consider a victory condition if I can manage to get Japan's rank to first. I'm not going to do global conquest because, in all honesty, I'm not a real warmonger. War for the sake of just war is not really that enjoyable, so I'm going to say victory is getting Japan to first. And that being said, that also brings me to the strategy or the tactic I'm going to use for this Let's Play. It's going to be relatively peaceful. I'm going to try to have a relatively peaceful, I'm not going to say Korea is going to be immune to attack, but a relatively peaceful time with Japan. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is decide whether or not you're going to attack these vassals, daimyos. I don't really know if that's pronounced correctly, but attack these vassals or diplo-annex them. And I definitely advocate diplo-annexing. Japan needs to focus on technology and technology growth, and if you spend the beginning of the game trying to attack all these vassals, you're going to have such poor stability. It's going to be terrible. So, I've done a little scouting here, played the first few minutes of this game before, and seen that this orange province here with the gold mine makes 47 income, versus even if I were to try to diplo-annex this vassal here with 4 provinces, total, that's less than 47. Same goes for these 2 China-producing provinces down here. It may only be 2, but you add those 2 up and you get greater than even these 4. And, because Japan only has 3 of its own provinces, you try to annex someone bigger than you and you get a penalty. So let's start by doing some diplomacy. First things I want to do is get a royal marriage with these 2 countries or these 2 vassals I'm going to try to annex. Because not only will that improve my relationship, it'll also increase my chance of getting an heir. And one of Japan's big problems is that it has 11 vassals, so it has 11 diplomatic relations of an allowed 8. Even as a shogunate, let's see, Japan's monarchy type is a shogunate. Even with the +4 diplomatic relations of a shogunate, we're still getting diplomatic power monarchy points slower. So I don't want to make my royal marriages with anyone that I don't already have a diplomatic relation with. You might think, oh, well, you should get a royal marriage with Ming or an alliance with Korea and try to PU or a personal union Ming or something like that. It's just not worth it early on. Once I start getting rid of some vassals, I'll think of doing something like that, but not right away. Here, let's get the improved relations. You have to get relations to 190 to vassal. Let's get those ticking, and then I'll go through some of the missions and stuff. I'm gonna run it on as high speed as I can handle. While we're just improving relations. Japan has a pretty boring beginning of the game until it gets some techs and some annexed vassals. So the first thing you want to do as Japan is get the best advisors you can afford. Let's see, typically you can afford, if you really go for technology and you get rid of your cavalry, turn down your army to nothing, your vassals will take care of any revolts, anything like that. You don't really need it. Send your single bark over to patrol the sea zone, whatever, anything to make any money. and you cap out at 5.17, I think. Yeah, so it's 5.17. So you can afford a 2, basically, something that does a 2 and a 1. So I'm looking here, there's no 2s over here, and diplomatic reputation is important for annexing once you get the relations up high enough to start the annex process. So I'll pick up that as a 1, and wait a month or so, and pick up... I don't really see myself buying any stability, so this guy costs the same per month, even if he's a little bit more expensive up front. Anything that'll boost my income. My taxes, it says it's 1.5, but you watch, I get plus 5% tax. That's gonna jump a lot more than 5% of 1.5. Here, I'll show you and then explain in a second once I buy him. I should be able to buy him next month. So you'll see that this jumps more than 5% of 1.5. Because that's just not the way the math works. Okay. So buy him, and you see that my tax income should jump at the end of the month to 1.57, which is more than... Is that actually more than 0.5? That'd be divided by 20. Divide 1.5 by 20 and you get 0.7. Well, I guess I'm severely mistaken. Oh, I see. My current taxation must have been at 0. That's the only time when that would be the case. Typically, if you bumped another 5... No? I'm mistaken. It changed it by exactly 5%. I wonder what it was that I was going through earlier that made me think it was different. Oh well. Learning new things about the game every day. It's only about a week old, which is one of the reasons why I'm playing on normal difficulty. In future Let's Plays, I'll probably crank up the difficulty, but for right now, I think I figured out most of the stuff. Played a game as Portugal, played the introduction to Japan before. This is my second or third recording to get the introduction down. I had my cloud save. You have to save Iron Man to the cloud. I had my cloud save desynced with my personal on-computer save. And somehow I clicked the wrong button, synced the wrong direction, and lost my previous save. So this was my second attempt at this recording. So I know quite a bit of the early game for Japan. Like I said, it's kind of a little bit of a waiting game. Here we could take a look at the missions. The first 3 missions for Japan are always the same. You got to incorporate this yellow one, the whatever, I can't really pronounce it. Oh, great. I don't really need 10 prestige, so I'm gonna take a money hit here. And then I guess it takes out a couple loans. I'll try to pay this back as soon as I can, because I don't like the inflation or the interest. But I'm not gonna lose the stability at this point. It's just not really worth it for some gold that I will make back eventually. Maybe I can make some money. I don't want to dismiss too many troops, because yeah, I don't really feel like dismissing any more troops. The knights or cavalry are pretty expensive, way more expensive than they're worth early on until you get cavalry improvement tax. Oh good, an heir. Our current leader is just terrible. 131. This guy's not all that much better. 214 with an average claim. The claim strength here determines how much legitimacy you have after you succeed, or when you succeed. Strong giving you 100% legitimacy, average giving you 50 legitimacy, and weak 30 legitimacy. So if I get a chance to kill off this heir, sometimes you get events. I'm definitely gonna kill him off. 214 is probably on the low side for stats, and average is low for Japan. Typically Japan has a lot of strong claims. It's a pretty bad heir. Kind of hope I get a chance to kill him off. I don't typically have a problem with legitimacy early on in Japan, except that you get events where you can trade legitimacy for stuff, like monarchy points, which are so important for the tech star of Japan. Anyway, back to these missions. The reason I'm not taking any is I'm not going to achieve any, and the missions will swap out every so often. This mission is to incorporate the yellows, just not worth it. The yellows makes tax of 6, that's just not very good. And then I can choose to incorporate these forest greens. So like here, if I have to choose, this says there should be a stable government. Leading members of the government are deeply worried about the changes that you proposed in your realm. Well, I mean, if I have to choose between losing administrative power to, like, accept their demands, yeah, I've done a bad job, or ignore them and then they think that, oh, well, you're ignoring us. I don't care about prestige so much. Right now, all the prestige does that I care about is the better relation over time and the global trade power. I'm not going to use my mercenaries, spies, forts, anything like that, so don't really care so much about prestige. Plus, if you see here, prestige decays positively if you have negative prestige. So if you don't need prestige, you might as well be in the negative and be gaining that prestige over time, as opposed to it decays negatively if you have positive prestige. So I feel like it's a resource, I'll use it like that. Yeah, I know this is a little bit cluttered over here, going by speed 5. I wouldn't typically be going at speed 5, but early on Japan has a really boring fate. But like I was saying, I'm not going to achieve any of these missions for a long time, and missions swap out pretty regularly. I think I've tracked it at around 4, or maybe it's some event, maybe 5 years, something. I know it's faster to not select a mission if you're not going to achieve any than it is to select a mission and then cancel it, which means you need 5 more years if I were to do that to get a new mission. So I'm going to keep my eye on this. You see Japan has 2 unique options, or national decisions. Oh, right. Should have repaid these as soon as I could. Well, I guess I repaid them close to as soon as I could. So they have these 2 unique decisions of uniting Japan and Japan is united. The Unite Japan you can do a lot earlier when you control only 14 or 15 cities, which with any form of conquest or any colonization you'll get significantly before Japan is united, which is that all of the daimyos, they're vassals, all of their unique sort of Japanese vassals are gone. Well, the problem with Japan is Unite Japan is that it switches you into a feudal monarchy, which sounds good, you get more income from your vassals, but in reality, it's not that great. Well, how much money am I making off of trade? So, this decision is pretty easy to make. I've fallen ill. I hope that doesn't mean I've actually fallen ill, because I really don't want my heir to take over. Young, average claim, bad leader. It would be a bad situation. But if I have to choose between trade power and production power, I see that my trade power is 0.43, my production power is 0.49. That means that my production efficiency is slightly greater, and I'm going to be bumping that up. And you might say, oh, you're going to have more trade power as you gain more of these provinces. That's true. My money from trade. Okay, so got to keep an eye on this. At 190 diplomacy, you can start the annexation process, but if you check in here, you can't start the annexation process until you've controlled them for 10 years. Like it says, and that would happen on November 11th, 4 years from now. So even if I get to super high relations, I can't start the annexation process, and it's not really that beneficial for me to start improving relations with these guys, because the time it's going to take for me to annex these 2 provinces, that'll decay. But if this bumps up to 200 so I can afford some decay, or if this bumps up to 200, then I'll start improving relations with someone else until that date. So if you do the Unite Japan, like I was saying, you become a feudal monarchy, which would increase the income I got from my vassals and my manpower, which is less important. But I really need these +4 diplomatic relations because, like I said, I'm already over. If I didn't have those +4 diplomatic relations, I wouldn't be gaining any diplomatic power each year. And so I need that tech. Japan doesn't start in that bad of a tech position. I think it starts pretty even with most of the European powers, except for this being in the Chinese tech group. But in order to become a colonizer, I really want to grab most of this Philippines and Taiwan and anything else in the Asian ocean zone that can be taxed and can become Shinto and Japanese, so that I don't have to worry about revolts. We get into, well, I don't want to worry about revolts in a second. I need this tech to increase my colonial range. I need 2 of these to get to an idea group, and then I need the idea group exploration, because I can't currently see these provinces, so I can't currently colonize them. Well, the reason that I want to have such a stable nation as Japan is westernizing. If you want to be able to take on any of the European powers, because they'll get to the Americas if you want to play in the Americas. Oh, this is no fun. You know, I'm gonna take the stability hit. Okay, so this event is, my reputation is ruined. You've circulated slanderous propaganda, but in reality, the decision is, once again, do I take the hard line? Or do I say, yeah, sure, I'm a horrible person? If you check what it is to increase the stability, it would cost administrative power, and only 90 of it. And administrative power, because of this, you're over your diplomatic relations cap. Administrative power is a lot easier to get as Japan. I get 5 per month as opposed to 3 per month. So I would definitely rather spend my administrative power than spend my diplomatic power. So I'm going to lose the stability. It's not so bad. And then maybe I'll bump the stability back up, but sometimes you get events. Sorry, my phone was ringing in the background there, kind of distracted me. Like I was saying, I can't afford that hit, and I want to have a very stable population, because when I westernize, it's going to reduce my stability to -3. Not reduce by -3, reduce to -3. So this is just like, wow, no matter what I do, I'm going to be in like ultimate revolt mode. My people are just going to be super ready to revolt. I just like to see if one of these is in disputed succession. I might, if Ming were in a disputed succession, I might take one of my diplomats off of this and make a royal marriage with them. Personal unioning Ming would be pretty nice. Kind of broken, but pretty nice. I wouldn't do it by war. I just hope that something happened and they gave me their. So like I was saying, I want to be able to westernize. And that's going to create a huge amount of instability. If I were to take over chunks of the profitable parts of China, like this province that makes Chinaware and is a center of trade, if I were to take those over, I could probably convert Confucian to Shinto and eventually convert them to Japanese. So I could probably do that. And I will probably take over these 2 profitable provinces from Korea. But just going on a rampage with these Sunnis down here, you can't convert Sunnis. They're super hard to convert with this local missionary strength issue. So I'm probably not going to do that. I'm going to focus on colonizing, picking on Korea. Maybe taking a few provinces from the Manchu. And like I said, I'm going to try to be friends with the Ming. I'm going to keep my military kind of underfunded and just try to use the Ming as my ally, like bulldog. They don't seem very interested in hurting me typically, and if I ever were to declare a war or have an issue with the Manchu, the Ming and the Manchu. Okay, so this is an event that is pretty easy as Japan. The peasants have no voice, but occasionally they get to talk to the monarch. And they've come to, I don't know, petition me for something. And I can lose prestige, which I don't really care about, but I care a little bit about. Or I could say, fine, revolt. Well, if you saw earlier, I decreased my military funding such that these 10 troops won't even be able to kill these 5 troops. You'll see when I attack them, because I'm going to take this option because your vassals as Japan, yeah, check it out. Your vassals as Japan do not underfund their military, and they just come in and take care of any problems you have on the mainland. When I say the mainland, what I mean is they're not going to get in their boats, and if you were to take this island or this island, most of them don't have a lot of transports. These green guys do. They have 4 transports. They have the biggest navy. So maybe they'd be able to go do something, but if they have only 4 boats, they're not going to go take on like 5 or 6 peasants. It's not going to happen. So that's... Okay, so a new generation of samurai. Good. This is good. This must be a Japan-specific event. I can gain some administration power or army tradition. Well, army tradition's going to last with me forever. And sometimes you would think administration power, that's temporary, but it's not. Administration power is going to invest in technology, which will last with me forever. And that is my play for Japan. Technology. So, whenever I'm given the ability to either increase my military or increase my technology, you'll be seeing I will very much be in favor of increasing technology. I could get a free military leader, not gonna do it. I don't need an admiral or a general, and even though they don't have an upkeep cost, you still have to pay for them. Once I'm able to get conquistador or explorer, those I definitely will use. But right now I'm just trying to play as peaceful as possible. Let me think for a second. What else can I go over in this downtime while I... Oh, rats. Missed a whole year. I was just talking. I missed a whole year that I could have spent annexing these vassals. Well, doesn't slow down my tech that much. Just my gold. These guys, basically, the way this game works is your tech rate is not affected by how big you are. So, aside from getting more gold and buying better advisors, it's not a lot to be said about what I can do with gold to increase my tech rate. So I like to just check up these guys, like administrative technology cost guy. He would be great because I'm going to be buying some administrative technology. As would they're both administrative technology? Oh no, I just clicked on the same thing twice. Okay, so once again, like I said, I keep a very peaceful Japan. I have like no revolt risk, and even with +2, I'll have no revolt risk. I'm not a huge fan of playing Japan as the conqueror of Asia, because if you do that, you're gonna have a hard time holding it. You're gonna have a super unruly samurai. Yeah, these are better than the trained samurai. They're gonna give me 60 administrative power. That's pretty good. I'm getting up to the techs that you need as Japan. Like I said, if you take over Asia and you do it through something other than a personal union with Ming, or take over China rather, you're gonna have a hard time holding it, and you're gonna have a hard time keeping your tech rate up to compete with the Europeans. And if you want to get to first rank, I suspect you definitely could do it by conquering all of Asia, just being this powerhouse. But that would be a lot of war. And that's just not my playstyle. If the option is available to take a more sort of peaceful approach, try to move in with the lowest hanging fruit, and I'm almost always going to take that approach. So, while I do play to win, I also have this, like, back of my mind thinking, well, there's winning by hours of tedious micromanagement of combat, and there's winning by a strategy executed well and macro designed well. And I think that that's a bit more my playstyle, a bit more from the macro side. I like to play with speeds, not at 5. 5 is is frustrating, but it's the only choice. So, like I said, you have to get 2 ranks in administrative technology to get to your first idea group. So in the beginning, you're just gonna be pumping into that. Eventually, all of your Diplo points. See, here's when I like to have a strong claimant. The peasants get uppity. Well, you can either smack them down, or you can upset your nobles effectively by losing legitimacy, and people think, oh, you were kind to those peasants. Well, that's cool by me. I would love to have an heir with a strong claim, so this gets reset into 100 upon succession, but you don't get negative effects until 50. At about 60 or so, I hope I remember to get the stability back up, because I don't want to drop into having poor diplomatic reputation, because you can see diplomatic reputation over here increases the speed of annexation of vassals, which this guy's giving us 5. If I had 100% legitimacy, I'd be getting 2. I think that's the math. So this guy is worth more than all the legitimacy in the world. He's such a great diplomat. I don't know exactly how that balance works out, but whatever. I'll take it. He's great. He increases the rate of vassalizing these, or annexing these vassals, sorry, my bad, by double, basically. Yeah, by double, if not slightly more. Yeah, you can see that eventually the annexing part will get faster, because they'll be long-time vassals, but every time you annex a vassal, you get minus 30 relations with all of your other vassals, so you have to spend more time improving your relationship with them. Cherry Blossom Festival. Oh, I love all these Japan-specific events. The cherry blossoms are upon us. Let us see. This is proof of good policy, or we can gain money. Well, I would easily pay 41 ducats for 25 administrative power, and the 5 prestige is just icing, so I'm gonna take that trade any day, as long as I'm positive income, no loans. Once I get this gold mine, Japan suffers from some pretty serious inflation. I know, it's hilarious. Japan suffering from inflation when, like, for the past 20 years they've been trying desperately to have some form of inflation. But anyway, Japan suffers from inflation, and the only way that Japan's ever going to get that inflation reduced is through an advisor, because it's just kind of unlikely that they're going to spec into this economic ideas. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but this is the other way to reduce inflation. I really don't see it as being that big of a deal. The tax modifier is big, the build cost is pretty big, the National Bank is good. I mean, this is a great idea group. Possible advisors, whatever. Interest, probably not that big of a deal. All these are good. I mean, compare it to something like religious ideas that I'm just definitely not that interested in, or even administrative ideas that I'm just not that interested in. Okay, once again, I really don't mind having some revolt risk. I'm definitely going to move my troops out of Kyoto, because I don't want them to get hit by the Kyoto rebels, but I definitely don't mind a little bit of revolt risk, because my vassals will just jump in and take over any potential rebel threats that I have. The missions have stayed the same, they haven't swapped out. I didn't expect them to quite yet. After I annex some vassals, sometimes you get an event to attack Korea, sometimes you get an event to take back these islands. Those are good events. The one to take back these islands you have to be a little careful about, because we don't really have a good military. We've been relying on our vassals to take it, but our vassals won't station their troops there to prevent the revolts, so you just got to be a little careful about that. But like I said, it's kind of a waiting game at first, but this will give you the opportunity to just listen to my voice. No, I'm kidding. I understand that this isn't the best introduction to a Let's Play, but Japan is really worth it. I've played Japan up until about 1500 or so in the previous Let's Play intro that I recorded before I lost that save, and at that point it really starts to get fun. You take a crack at Korea, you start to be a colonial adventures in Asia. The real trick for Japan is getting across this gigantic ocean. I never realized how big it was. I've never been to Asia personally, so I never made that flight from here in the States, but it's a very long ways. You have to get, I don't really know. I doubt if I sent a boat, if I controlled, this must be Guam. I think this is Guam. It says Yap Islands, but I'm pretty sure that's Guam. Okay, so here I'm actually going to take the prestige hit. Yeah, my grandmother was a farmer. Deal with it. I don't mind, because like I said, prestige decays positively if you're a negative prestige. So, great. Okay, so I've got my vassals annex, these two. I should be making a lot of money once I deal with their cavalry. Cavalry are still too expensive. I'm gonna go ahead and start improving relations with the next people I want to annex. Once again, I'm just gonna go by profitability. These guys have a Chinaware province and 4 total provinces, and these guys have a Chinaware province and 3 total provinces. This is the same green as this, or blue-green as this. So I'm gonna go ahead and improve relations with... I'm gonna go ahead and get royal marriages, because I'm hoping my heir dies, and then I need those royal marriages to make a new heir. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I know, brutal, I hope my heir dies, but really I do. I hope the moment I can turn him into a military leader, the moment that he turns 16, maybe it's 15. This will make a commander out of your heir. He will then be able to command your forces. Yeah, I'm gonna make him into a commander. Oh, he's an amazing commander though. Wow, just amazing. Maneuvers, one of my favorite stats, because Japan has this long distance to run. Well, it's more my favorite stat for boats. Maneuver increases your movement speed and trade power for boats, so it's more important for boats, but this much shock too. Wow, he's a great commander. Not that that makes up for him being a poor leader. I'm reminded of Game of Thrones when Eddard is asked, you know, do you still think that good military leaders make good kings, or something to that effect? And no, I don't. So I still hope he dies in combat, but yeah, he's gonna be fighting any rebels that I see and hoping that he dies. Oh, one of my administrators died. I'm going to wait until I annex these guys to see if I'll be able to afford this advisor at all at his 10.6. Right now I'm at plus 3.9. Why is that? It should be a little bit more with this gold mine. I guess I picked up some troops. Maybe I'll dismiss just a few of these troops. Oh, I got the mission that I would be interested in. Conquer Okinawa. So this must be Okinawa down here. If I conquer this, I don't even have to like worry about it. My vassals will go do it, I think. And I have the boats in as soon as I get their fleet. So I'm not gonna go to war yet. Oh, actually, this is kind of a good time to go to war, because I have diplomats free. Yeah, let's go ahead and take this mission. Conquer Okinawa. The big thing about it is it gives you a claim. I mean, the 5 prestige, okay, but it does make Chinaware here, and I do want to get 20% share of Chinaware, so I can have increased legitimacy. Once again, it's not that I feel like I need legitimacy for anything, it's that it's a resource I can spend later. So here you get to see how Japan, or feudal Japan, works. The Emperor's army sits there and does absolutely nothing. And Yeah, you lose 10 legitimacy whenever you annex a vassal, so that's kind of a pain. Oh no, I don't want that. I annexed them right as they were about to go and attack those guys. I'm gonna move all my troops over here slowly after I win, before I make peace, and after they've killed these troops off, because when I'm holding the province, send this light ship to protect trade. When I'm holding the province, there's going to be some chance that they revolt, and I want to have all my troops there. Go ahead and disband these cavalry. I want to have some troops there in case the revolt happens, so that, because your vassals, like I said, they don't really like to go overseas to protect you from rebels. Oh, I have to crank up my... I don't know if you saw, this bark is at 99%. Unless the light ships are at 100%, then I won't go and protect trade. So I have to go and crank up my fleet maintenance just a little bit, so that I can send him to patrol. It'll be worth it in the end. So he costs 10.7 and I'm making 9.4. I'll be making a little bit more after I take this province. Yeah, I'm gonna wait, save up, and try to buy that guy. He's pretty good. I mean, he makes 3 administrative power per month. The yearly prestige is not so great. This inflation reduction would be pretty good, because I have inflation because of this gold mine. If you go and check under the economy, see I'm actually making inflation. You know what? Instead of waiting, I'm gonna take this guy and keep him, because I won't be able to sustain that price, and he costs 163. So I'm gonna be losing a little money per year. I'm gonna have to go way past 163 to not go bankrupt. I'm gonna go ahead and take this guy. There'll be other advisors. He just does what I want currently. I don't want this inflation to become a problem. I think we'll see next month or so that my inflation will be reducing. He should reduce it by 0.1 per month. Oh, yearly. I see. His yearly reduces inflation by 0.1, and the gold mine increases it by 0.29. Woof. Well, gold is the money I have, I guess. Let's just hope that it doesn't get too far out of hand. Inflation should technically decrease over time. If you're inflating from gold, your rate of inflation growth over time by introducing the same amount of gold into the economy should technically decrease over time. But I don't think the game does that. I think that it's like a flat rate. How do I get to these islands? Okay. I think it's a flat rate, which is kind of sad, because I was excited when I saw inflation in this game, because I know in the colonial periods... Oh no! They have a single boat and I have, like, absolutely no fleet maintenance. This could end poorly. Hey, boat, get over here. I won. Okay, good. I really didn't think I would win that. I had no morale. So let's go transport more troops. So anyway, in the colonial period, inflation was a huge deal for Spain. I remember not only do they have that gold mine native to their country over in... I can't show you because it's fog 4, but... I think it's in Toledo. I'm not really positive, but... Not only do they have that gold mine, but when they got all that gold from the Aztecs and the Incas, they just started to realize that their gold wasn't worth much. I know that sounds... Oh, this is the Kyoto Revolt. Let's go. Sorry, I was like, who's revolting against me? I'm playing my peaceful Japan strategy. Like, the whole point is not to have revolts. But that's right, I have that that Kyoto revolt is. Okay, I hope that increased ship maintenance works out. So they have this huge influx of gold, and that created huge inflation problems for them. And there's I wish I should look it up, but there's like a famous English economist. Oh, I can make peace now. Famous English economist that is like, what would happen if all of the gold from the English treasury were to disappear tomorrow? And people, you know, think to themselves, improve our prestige, not gonna happen. Incorporate, not gonna happen. And improve legitimacy, 100, legitimacy, is not gonna happen because I have a heir with an average claim. I'd take that if... Oh, I would take that mission if I had an heir with a strong claim, because when you have an heir with a strong claim, you immediately get 100 upon succession. But I don't have an heir with a strong claim, so I'm just definitely not gonna do that. Okay, so I have, looks like 4 cogs, and I want to make sure to transport my heir over there so that if there's a revolt, he gets involved and has a higher chance of dying. I know it sounds brutal, but I'm used to playing some Crusader Kings 2 recently, also from Paradox, and in that game, you have a lot more control over whether or not your heir dies. And I was constantly killing off my heirs if they weren't good. In this game, you just have this one mechanism of controlling by making them into a military leader, and occasionally you get events that say, oh, do you want to kill off your heir? Or your heir randomly died. So I've got to hope for one of those. I mean, it's not the end of the world if he succeeds. He's better than my current leader. No, I don't really have a huge need for the military capabilities, so he's only okay. I'm hoping he does. You might have noticed up here that... Better get these diplomats started. You might have noticed that I don't have my second merchant doing anything. The reason is there's just nothing for him to do. Japan's trade situation is such that they don't have anyone upstream of them that they're knowledgeable of to direct trade to their main location. I've already got a guy here. So, Japan just... Oh. How much of my income comes from taxes? Gee, a lot of my income comes from taxes. What would this do if I... So, I'd lose 0.2 something gold or stability. I'm gonna lose the 0.2 something gold. Yeah, it's not the end of the world, and... This is just brutal. This inflation is eventually gonna get me. What's up? It changed all of a sudden. I don't know why it changed all of a sudden. Well, oh, my independence has been guaranteed by Ming. That is great. I want to be your friend too. I could get a military guy. It doesn't hurt. And it would increase my military tech rate. 1.2 monthly. These level 1 advisors are so cheap. It goes up like really quick, not just multiplicatively. It goes up really quick to pick up a more expensive advisor. I just can't afford this guy. If I could get a 2... What was this guy? Oh, he's the diplomatic reputation guy though. Yeah, I kind of want him. I don't really need spy offense, and I'll just gain up some gold. And that gold will eventually... Oh, wait. Okay. Revolt in Okinawa. So that's specific to down here. I absolutely unequivocally do not want 13 regiments to rise up and revolt in Okinawa. That would be brutal. Just brutal. And I don't care about the tax in Okinawa because they don't make any money for me anyway. So, yeah, you could pay less taxes. In fact, I'm gonna send my missionary down there. Can't quite core it yet. You need the tech to be able to core it. I'm gonna send my missionary down there, and I'm gonna spend the 10 military points to decrease the revolt risk. I honestly don't want a revolt down here. If there's too big of a revolt, even though I've got 12 troops, they're not well funded. I might just crank up army maintenance a little bit. I'm not spending the money on anything else, and if this revolt were to happen and my troops were to be completely ill-equipped, it would put me in a tough spot. Okay. So I don't want a national epic. Our subjects are telling of tales of the legend of... Gosh, I don't speak Japanese. Some guy who was great for Japan. So I can get prestige, which isn't bad, but I don't want to lose that 10 administrative power, or I can lose some prestige. 10 administrative power. No, people should not pester me. Okay, do we got any more missions? Any new missions? No, still the same old missions. And when I get the Korea mission, I'm definitely gonna take these 2 provinces from Korea. I have no problem. Convert the heretics. Great, that should reduce the revolt risk. Yeah, substantially. They were animalists? I don't know. This is the tech that I need to be able to core this province, so that was just perfect timing. This just popped out. I'm gonna go ahead and take that tech and then core this province. I really wanted to convert it. Wait, I want this to update. They're not animalists anymore, so when this updates, I should be able to... Oh, that didn't update. Oh, well, let's deal with this event. Lose a stability. Don't want to do that. Gain 3 inflation. Well, I know I'm going to have an inflation problem. What would this do for me? Yeah. You know, I don't really know. I might have to spec into that inflation dealing with thing. I haven't played Japan to the late game, and so I really don't know, but I don't want to lose a stability. I have to spend administrative power to get some stability back. I'm gonna go ahead and get the inflation. Wish I could have got that event earlier when my inflation reduction guy didn't have a gold mine fighting against him. Ming has revoked their guarantee. I don't know why they did it to begin with, and I don't know why they took it away. See, I'm gonna... I still don't know why it says animist there. I converted them. I should be getting the, You know, I think I am getting the reduction, because it says the base cost is 40 administrative power, and then because I have a claim, it's reduced by 25%, and it says animist negative 50%, but I think it means that Shinto negative 50%. I don't know for sure, but that would make a lot of sense, because 10 is 25% of 40, so just gonna go with that. Well, that's a good place to take a break here, to break up the video. I'm going to be back in just a minute.